There are secrets that disappear because they are destroyed. And then there are secrets that disappear because humanity was not ready to hold them. What you are about to hear belongs to the second kind. For thousands of years, the temples of Thoth were not erased by fire or conquest. They were withdrawn, folded inward like a breath held too long, waiting for a moment when the human nervous system could endure what they contained. Most people believe ancient wisdom was written in stone or papyrus. That is already a misunderstanding. The most dangerous knowledge was never written. It was embedded in vibration, geometry, tone, and silence. It was passed from nervous system to nervous system, from breath to breath, from eye to eye, in chambers where sound behaved differently than it does in the open world. And that is why you were never taught this. Because Thoth did not teach belief, he taught activation. Belief is safe, activation is not. To activate something is to change its function permanently, and the ancient priests knew something modern spirituality still avoids. Once the inner field reorganizes, it does not return to its previous arrangement. You may feel curiosity right now. You may feel doubt. You may even feel resistance or a quiet tightening in the chest. Good. Those reactions were the first filter. The lost temples were not built to welcome everyone. They were built to test resonance. If your nervous system cannot sit with silence without reaching for distraction, if your mind demands reassurance instead of truth, if you want power without responsibility, then the door remains invisible. But if something in you feels strangely recognized, as if this voice is not introducing something new, but reminding you, then the journey has already begun. Tonight, we will not learn ancient wisdom. We will re-enter it. You will be guided into meditative thresholds once used by initiates who stood barefoot on cold stone floors, surrounded by harmonic chambers designed to rearrange perception itself. And you will be warned. Because these techniques do not create hallucinations, they strip filters. You may experience heightened intuition. You may experience emotional surfacing. You may experience a temporary loss of interest in shallow pursuits, or you may feel nothing at all. That too is a sign. Before we continue, understand this clearly. You do not need to master these practices. You do not need to repeat them endlessly. Doing it correctly once is enough to alter the trajectory of your inner field. So take this moment seriously. If you are listening while multitasking, stop. If you are scrolling, pause. If you are half present, return. The temples of Thoth were not places you visited. They were states you entered. And now, close your eyes for a single breath, not to relax, but to signal readiness. We begin. A hidden architecture, not built of stone, but of attention. There is a lie repeated in modern interpretations of ancient Egypt that the temples were monuments. They were not. They were interfaces. Anyone who has ever stood inside a true harmonic structure knows the feeling. The moment when the air seems thicker, when sound does not travel outward but returns, when your own heartbeat feels suddenly audible. The Lost Temples of Thoth were constructed not to impress the eyes, but to interrupt the mind. The first temple was never physical. It was the gap between two breaths. first time I understood this, not intellectually, but viscerally. I was not in Egypt. I was not in ritual robes. I was sitting alone, attempting a breath sequence copied from a fragment most historians dismiss as symbolic. On the seventh breath, something failed. Not dramatically, quietly. The impulse to inhale simply did not arrive. And in that pause, that terrifying, exquisite pause, there was no observer, just awareness unclaimed. This is what the ancient texts called the antechamber. Not enlightenment, not vision, but the space where identity loosens its grip. Modern neuroscience would call this a disruption of the default mode network. Ancient priests called it stepping out of the river. Here is the first truth few are told. The temple does not open when you breathe deeply. It opens when the breath forgets you. This is why techniques are dangerous when rushed. If you chase sensation, the nervous system tightens. If you perform, the mind stays in control. The prerequisite is allowance, not effort. So now we practice, not as a ritual, but as a test. Sit comfortably. Do not straighten your spine artificially. Do not correct yourself. Place one hand lightly on your chest, the other on your lower abdomen. Breathe in through the nose for a slow count of 4, not deeper than comfortable. Hold for 1. Exhale through the mouth for 6. Do this 7 times. On the 7th exhale, do not inhale immediately. Wait. Not forcefully, not bravely. Wait as if listening for a knock that may never come. You may feel anxiety rise. You may feel a swallowing reflex. You may feel a sudden urge to do something. That urge is the gatekeeper. Do not fight it. Let it pass like a shadow. When the inhale returns on its own, let it arrive naturally. That moment, that time, is the threshold. Signs you entered it correctly may include a subtle ringing in the ears, a feeling of expansion behind the eyes, emotional neutrality without numbness, or a strange familiarity as if you've been here before. Side effects if done incorrectly: lightheadedness from forcing the breath, tension headaches from over-concentration, emotional agitation if performed while distracted. If any discomfort arises, stop. The ancient texts were clear. The temple does not reward impatience. Now understand this. You have not imagined anything. This pause, this gap, is where all higher techniques operate. It is the room before the room. And once you have felt it once, your nervous system remembers. You may notice in the coming days more vivid dreams, reduced tolerance for noise or dishonesty, a spontaneous sense of inner alignment. This is not mystical exaggeration. It is the consequence of touching the space before thought. Before we go further, anchor this experience. If you felt the pause, even briefly, type in the comments.
The temple has opened. This is not for the algorithm. It is a resonance marker. When many nervous systems acknowledge the same threshold, the field stabilizes. We will go deeper, but not yet. A vibration that reorganizes the inner architecture, whether you believe in it or not. There is a reason the priests of Thoth never taught sound the way modern people expect to learn it. Because sound, when used correctly, does not express something, it disassembles something. Most people imagine ancient chants as repetitions, Ra, 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 as if frequency were created by insistence. That misunderstanding would have earned you laughter in a temple chamber. Sound was never about volume, it was about placement. The old initiates knew something neuroscience is only now beginning to confirm. Certain tones, sustained at specific lengths, interrupt the brain's predictive loops and force the nervous system into coherence. Not calm, coherence. Calm is passive, coherence is structural. The first time I encountered the true sound of Thoth, I almost dismissed it. It was too simple, too quiet. No echo, no theatrics, just a single tone held long enough that the mind ran out of commentary. That is the danger, because when the mind runs out of commentary, memory begins to bleed upward. Not memories from childhood, older, patterns, reactions, reflexes you never chose. This is why the sound was taught after breath mastery. Without the pause, the tone agitates instead of aligned. Now, listen carefully. This is not a chant you shout. It is not something you repeat endlessly. You will do it once, and that is enough. Sit again, eyes closed, but not pressed shut. Bring attention to the space behind your sternum, not the heart as emotion, but as pressure. Inhale slowly through the nose. On the exhale, allow a low, steady sound to emerge. Not from the throat, from the chest. Imagine the sound vibrating the ribcage outward like a bell struck from the inside. Hold the tone for 33 seconds if possible. If not, hold it as long as the breath naturally allows, without strain. When the sound fades, do not inhale immediately. Return to the pause. This tone was once called the stabilizer. Modern science would say it stimulates the vagus nerve and synchronizes hemispheric activity. The priests said something colder. This sound tells the body it is no longer being hunted. Effects you may feel: a wave of warmth through the torso, tingling along the spine or jaw, a sudden emotional neutrality, or a quiet sadness without a story. Do not analyze it. Analysis collapses the field. Warnings: do not force the volume. Do not seek imagery. Do not repeat compulsively. If done incorrectly, the sound agitates unresolved emotion. If done correctly, it empties it. And once emptied, something else moves in. Not visions, space. You may find in the days ahead that your reactions slow down, that arguments feel strangely distant, that your intuition sharpens, but without urgency. This is the first reorganization. The temples of Thoth were not places of ecstasy, they were places of precision, and precision always feels understated. Anchor this transmission. If you completed the sound, even imperfectly, type in the comments, "The vibration has settled." We are approaching the deeper chambers now.
Why true vision begins only when imagery collapses. Every culture that touched the same current left behind the same warning, disguised in different myths. In Egypt, they carved the Eye of Thoth. In India, they whispered of Ajna. In Tibet, they spoke of the clear light. Different symbols, same mistake made by generations afterward. People thought the third eye was something you use. That misunderstanding ruined more initiates than fear ever did. Because the inner eye does not see images, it removes the need for them. I learned this the hard way. The first time I attempted the eye practice, I wanted proof. Lights, colors, confirmation. Instead, what arrived was irritation. A pressure behind the forehead, a subtle headache, a rising impatience that made the practice feel useless. Only later did I understand that irritation was the threshold. The ancient texts never say the inner eye opens, they say the inner eye stops interfering. Modern psychology would describe this as the collapse of symbolic processing. The mystics used harsher language. When the seer dies, seeing remains. This is why visualization-heavy teachings fail. They feed the mind exactly when it must starve. Now, listen carefully. This practice is not dramatic. It is unsettling in its simplicity. Sit comfortably. Do not straighten your spine to impress an imaginary observer. Bring your attention to the space between the eyebrows, but not as a point, as a hollow. Do not imagine light. Do not imagine a color. Do not imagine anything. Instead, notice the absence of sensation there. Most people immediately try to fill that absence. Do not. Breathe normally. Now, silently ask, not in words, but as an intention, what remains when nothing is interpreted? Then stop asking. The mind will attempt to answer. Let it fail. This is where the real work happens. You may feel a spreading pressure across the forehead, a sensation of falling inward, a sudden blankness that feels wrong, or an urge to abandon the practice entirely. That urge is the final defense of identity. Ancient initiates were warned, if you chase images here, you will fracture attention. If you allow emptiness, perception reorganizes. Hold this for 90 seconds, no longer. When time is complete, return attention to the breath and open your eyes slowly. Signs of correct activation. Increased clarity without excitement. Reduced inner dialogue. A sense that perception widened without effort. Side effects if done incorrectly. Headaches from overfocus. Visual strain from imagined imagery. Emotional agitation from expectation. Here is the truth no modern teacher advertises. The inner eye does not give you more information. It removes distortion. This is why people feel disoriented afterward. If the filter you used to navigate life loosens, even briefly, the world feels unfamiliar. This is not damage, it is recalibration. Do this practice once. Do not repeat obsessively. Once is enough to teach the nervous system a new default. You may notice afterward synchronicities without excitement, a quieter confidence, reduced tolerance for superficial stimulation. Anchor this stage. If you felt even a moment of still, wordless awareness, type in the comments, "The eye has gone silent." One chamber remains. Why the final temple was never about transcendence, but integration. There is a moment every initiate reaches that no mythology celebrates. It is not the opening of a gate. It is not a vision. It is not power. It is the moment you realize you must go back. Back to your name. Back to your obligations. Back to the ordinary world that does not know or care what you touched. This was the most dangerous chamber of all, because many who entered the temples of Thoth did not fail at awakening. They failed at returning intact. The ancients recorded this without mercy. Some initiates became silent to the point of withdrawal. Others lost interest in ambition, relationships, even survival. A few became fragmented, brilliant but unstable. Not because the teachings were harmful, but because integration was neglected. Modern spirituality calls this grounding. The ancient priests used a sharper phrase, learning how to walk again. I remember the first time I understood what that meant. After days of inner stillness, after the sound, the pause, the collapse of imagery, I stepped into a crowded street. The noise felt abrasive. Faces looked unfinished. Language felt crude. For a brief, dangerous moment, superiority crept in. That was the trap. The texts warn about it directly. Those who confuse clarity with elevation will fall lower than where they began. The final temple was designed to prevent exactly that. It was not silent, it was not dark, it was not inward, it was relational. The last practice is not performed alone, it is performed in life. Here is how the ancient initiates sealed the work. No chanting, no posture, no ritual objects, just this. After completing the previous practices, even days later, choose one ordinary interaction, a conversation, a task, a moment of frustration, and do nothing special. No observation, no analysis, no correction. Simply notice whether the stillness you touched remains available. Not dominant, available. If it does, integration has begun. If it does not, nothing is wrong. The nervous system needs time to trust a new baseline. The warning here is subtle but essential. Do not attempt to live from the temple, live with it. The ancient Egyptians understood something modern seekers forget. Awareness that cannot coexist with ordinary life is incomplete. This is why Thoth was not only a god of wisdom, but of writing, measurement, trade, and speech. The divine was never separate from function. Now, listen carefully. There is one final sealing gesture, so simple it sounds absurd. Before sleep tonight, place one hand on your chest, not to feel emotion, to feel weight. Silently say, not as an affirmation, but as acknowledgement, I return with what remains. Then sleep. No visualization, no intention setting. Sleep. This seals the circuit. Effects you may notice over time. A quieter certainty without belief. Reduced inner urgency. A sense of being less reactive, more present. Or a subtle grief for illusions you no longer need. Side effects if resisted. Irritability, restlessness, a desire to chase intensity again. Do not chase it. Intensity is not depth. Depth is sustainable. And now, understand this. You have not completed a journey. You have re-entered a lineage. Every time someone listens with sincerity, every time someone practices without performance, every time someone integrates instead of escapes, the lost temples become a little less lost. If this transmission reached you, if even one practice shifted something quietly inside, mark it. Type in the comments, the journey has begun. This is not a declaration to others. It is a signal to yourself and to the collective field forming around this work. If you feel called, subscribe to this channel, not as entertainment, but as participation. Each like, Each share, each comment is a subtle contribution to a living archive. The ancients preserved knowledge through resonance, not institutions. By gathering here, you are doing the same. We do not awaken alone. We awaken together across time. Until the next chamber opens.